Jolly tea drinkers. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Let's make sure that I'm all connected over here. Hi. How are you? Happy Saturday. Good morning. How is it going? Hello. 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 Make sure my volume is down over there. Oh, good. Happy Saturday. Good morning. Oh, wow. It's Saturday morning. I decided to stop by and have a little coloring session. How are you doing? Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Come on in. Welcome to our calm coloring Saturday morning. Our Saturday morning musings. Oh my goodness, this is hilarious. There we go. Hi. All right. Let's see. Great. Hi. Good morning. One of these days, this will get a little bit easier, this whole setup. But good morning and welcome to our calm coloring Saturday morning coloring session. Hello and welcome. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Join me. Join me. How are you? I'm going to get started with our scripture. Today's scripture is in Galatians chapter 2, verse 16. And it says, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ, even we have believed in Jesus Christ, that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. I'm so grateful because, it's not by our works that God justifies us, that God saves us, that God makes us worthy. It is by His blood, by His sacrifice. I'm grateful because I don't think I do nearly enough works to be like, hey, God, look at me. No, I'm just grateful that we are not judged by our works. Our works are nothing. That's my marker is falling over the side over here. It's Saturday morning. Hello. How are you? Come on in. Welcome. Let's get started. I just finished reading our scripture. I'm using my Ohuhu markers this morning with the double pointed sides. I got the fine point on one side. It's dual tipped. I have the chiseled edge, broad edge on that side. I like to use the fine point to keep within the lines because I have this tendency to go outside of the lines. It's fun. It's fine. It's cool. Today we have our picture, keeping with our lovely spring tea theme. Thank you for those hearts. We have our cute teapot and some teacups next to it. They each have hearts on them. Nice little smiling flower over here in the little vase. There's some cool steam rising up out of the teapot and some other hearts and another flower over here. And I think it's perfect to start a nice Saturday morning with these hearts and loveliness. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put a nice yellow heart over here. If there's a color that you would like to see on this page, feel free to jump in the chat and let me know. I'm going to do this on this side as well. I'm using my Ohuhu markers. I have 2 packs of 48 of these markers, so I have lots of colors and shades to choose from. So if there's a color that you would like to see, feel free, jump in the chat and let me know. If you are just stopping by or lurking, hey, good morning. Happy to have you. Hope you're having a nice, calm, soothing Saturday morning. I figured that we could jump on in and color this morning. I think Saturdays are perfect for calm starts. Either you got a chance to sleep late or you got a chance to have a day off and relax. Either way, it's a nice day to kind of just be calm and relaxed. And unless you have a lot of things to do. Do you have a busy day ahead? I'm hoping to try to rest today myself. You know how that is. You have to take a day to rest. I'm trying to get better at doing that. It's a skill that I'm still working on developing. But that's what we have coloring for. That's what we have these nice calm moments where we can meet together and just encourage each other to be more calm. I'm starting with my yellow, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add some yellow to different places on this sheet. I have a few other colors that I think I want to add in here, so if there's a color that you would like to see, jump on in the chat and let me know. I'm using these cute Ohuhu markers. I like them a lot. And I'm going to make the bottom of this cup yellow too, I think. I like yellow. It's a nice, bright color. It's really brings joy. It's a joyful color to me. So wonderful. And it's perfect for a Saturday morning. So I call today's video Saturday Morning Musings because once again, I wanted to talk about Saturday morning cartoons. If you are an adult of a certain age, like I am, you fondly remember your Saturday morning cartoon moments. If you had that in your household, I remember waking up early on a Saturday morning to get up and watch cartoons. These days, it's like I am you're older, you want to lay in bed, you want to rest. But I remember as a kid, I wanted to get up. I wanted to watch those cartoons. I wanted to get in front of that TV at early break of dawn, o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, just to watch cartoons. When all during the week I had to be up early to go to school, and I hated it. But on a Saturday, I could get up super early just to catch the Amazing Spider-Man and Friends, And so I figured we could talk about what cartoons. I love talking about the cartoons that we used to watch when we were kids. So if there's a cartoon that you remember fondly that you used to watch on Saturday mornings, feel free to jump in that chat and let me know. I used to watch everything from The Amazing Spider-Man and Friends. Used to love that one a lot. They had all those cartoons back then always had one female character who had some cool superpower, and I loved all of that back then. So I used to love those kind of cartoons that used to come on. And I think Saturday mornings, I'm trying to remember the lineup. It changed every year, and but I used to love my Saturday morning lineup. It would be does anyone remember a pup named Scooby-Doo? There was Scooby-Doo at a certain time. You could watch Scooby-Doo, but then on Saturday mornings, they had a pup named Scooby-Doo. There was this period of time, I want to say the late 80s, maybe the early 90s, where they would take classic cartoons and then make all the characters like children all of a sudden. So, you had the Scooby-Doo cartoon where they were adults, but there was a pup named Scooby-Doo where they were all of a sudden kids, And so you got to see them as kids. I used to love that cartoon. I could still sing the theme song. I'm not going to do it, but I could still sing it. As a matter of fact, when I get off this live, I might need to go online, go on YouTube and try to find an old episode. It might be on Peacock. But yeah, I used to love that one. A pup named Scooby-Doo. What else used to come on? The Smurfs. Did anyone watch the Smurfs? I used to love the Smurfs as well. Again, another theme song that you could sing so well. I don't know if they still have theme songs for these kids shows now. They used to be great. You remember back in the day, all the fun Saturday morning theme songs? You could sing them. That was sometimes some of the best part of the show is when you got to the theme song of your show. Let me see. I used to watch Winnie the Pooh. There was a Winnie the Pooh hour on Saturday mornings. Anyone remember that? And Winnie the Pooh was my favorite character back then. Loved Winnie the Pooh. Oh my gosh. I wanted Winnie the Pooh everything. And that was such a great cartoon back then. I never got my Disney Plus subscription, so I don't watch it now, but I used to love Winnie the Pooh back in the day. That was one of my favorite cartoons to watch on a Saturday morning. Yes, Piglet, Eeyore. Who was your favorite Winnie the Pooh character? Winnie the Pooh was definitely my favorite. Close second was probably Eeyore. He was so grumpy, but he was so lovable in his grumpiness. I loved seeing him. He was always complaining about something. Everything was always such a chore for Eeyore, but I just loved him. Loved his little heart. And then Tigger. Tigger and Eeyore might have been a close second after Winnie the Pooh in terms of my favorite characters. Where Eeyore was like down and cranky, Tigger was so upbeat and bouncy and just so happy. He was so positive about everything. I'm gonna put this one in here. And yeah, love Tigger. The wonderful thing about Tigger's are wonderful things. And yeah, that's things that you just remember from your Saturday morning cartoon fun. Let me see what else I watched. They used to have, and of course they would change it up every year. They used to have, do you remember when they had the real Ghostbusters? Like, Ghostbusters was big in the 80s, and at some point they made a cartoon version with Slimer, the lovable ghost. Like, why did they make cartoon versions of all these things? I don't know. But I used to watch that. There was a Beetlejuice cartoon too. I remember that. I used to watch that. And it was like every cartoon that was out there, I was watching it. There was, of course, the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show. That was one of my favorites. I loved some Bugs Bunny. I could watch Bugs Bunny like all day, every day back then. And I know that there were so many jokes that went right over my head, because as a kid you don't get all those jokes. That and Tom and Jerry, you don't get all of those jokes because they would make jokes for the adults, for the parents. But it was so much fun watching those shows, and they were fun too because there were a lot of times where they didn't have dialogue. You'd watch Tom and Jerry, and even some of the Bugs Bunnies, the Roadrunners, where it was just no dialogue. It was all visual jokes, visual humor, or just the music. And I used to love that so much. I found that to be so entertaining. That was always so much fun. So Bugs Bunny was one of my favorites. I used to watch that on Saturday mornings. There was also Muppet Babies. Tell me you remember Muppet Babies. Oh man, that was my show right there. Muppet Babies. And of course, a lot of these cartoons also came on after school, so if you get home from school at a certain time, you might be able to catch them. But I loved Muppet Babies on Saturday mornings. That was totally one of my favorite cartoons. Little baby Kermit the Frog and baby Miss Piggy, like baby Gonzo, they were just so much fun to watch. I loved them. And then they had Nanny, the ever elusive Nanny. You never saw her face. You just heard her voice, or you saw her feet. What did she have, like multicolored socks? And she would like take care of them all. She would come in and be like, "What is going on in here? You guys go to bed," or whatever she would say. And they'd be like, "Yes, Nanny." You never saw her face. Kind of like this channel, huh? You never see my face. You just hear me talking to you. But yeah, I used to love that cartoon. What else came on Saturday mornings? Do you remember Pee-wee's Playhouse? I mean, that wasn't a cartoon, but it was definitely one of my favorite shows back in the day. He used to have this cool house where he would do all these fun gadgety things. That was where I first learned about cause and effect. It was Pee-wee's Playhouse. And let's see, 1895. This one's kind of dying a little bit. Put a little dot next to it so I remember for next time. And he would do all these cause and effect things, like, set up the toaster in a way where, you hit a button and it rolls the dot, rolls the ball down, and that hits the button that pushes the train that moves the carton to pour the milk into the cup. And it was always so cool to watch Pee-wee's Playhouse. I loved that show. Not a cartoon, but still it was a fun show as a kid to kind of see that. And this is a marker that doesn't have a lot of, looks like it's losing ink, which is really sad, but that's okay. Let me see. I will try to do this one or the other side of it. But Pee-wee's Playhouse, loved Pee-wee. Even those Pee-wee Herman movies back when I was a kid were so much fun to watch. Pee-wee's Big Adventure with the bike. I remember wanting a bike just like Pee-wee's. Yeah, you just wanted it because as a kid you saw it and you're like, this is so cool. And who doesn't remember his infamous scene dancing with those shoes, man? Everybody wanted to be like Pee-wee. I'm gonna do some blue right here. But let me see, called Saturday mornings. Do you remember the California Raisin Show? I mean, there was this period of time, I want to say late 80s, where California raisins were all of a sudden really cool. And everybody was eating California raisins. It was all about the California raisins. And they had commercials, and they would be dancing and singing like oldies songs. And it was just the greatest thing as a kid to see these California raisins dancing and singing. And then you wanted to go and get the raisins, so you wanted to eat. That was, my mother would buy raisins. We wouldn't always get the California brand, because those became expensive because they were really popular. But we would get, the supermarket brand raisins and eat those. But we loved raisins because of those little dancing raisins in the 80s. Tell me you remember them. If you are of a certain age, you very well possibly remember California raisins. I think I want to make this plate blue too. But they had a cartoon show as well because they became so popular. They got their own show on Saturday mornings. So that was fun to watch. What else did I watch? I used to watch, oh my gosh, Alf. Do you remember the show Alf? See, again, I'm dating myself. Person of a certain age, any adult of a certain age, you remember the show Alf. It was a big show back in the 80s. Live action show, this alien from outer space. In the 80s, there were a lot of aliens from outer space stories, am I right? You had E.T., you had Alf, you had Howard the Duck. We might have to have another stream where we just talk about 80s movies and weirdness. But Alf was a show that used to come on in the 80s with this alien from outer space. He made friends with this family, and he lived with this family in secret for years. And he would cause trouble and, and all kinds of great stuff. And for some reason, as a kid, I loved it. It was just, kids loved it. It was like one of those great family shows in the 80s for some reason. And they made it into a cartoon on Saturday mornings, and I used to love the cartoon too. I could still sing the theme song. I'm so ashamed. I could sing like almost every theme song from the 80s. It's just, I was such a big TV watcher as a kid. Latchkey kid, you come home from school, you're home, and but I was also like a quiet kid, so I would definitely be indoors just like watching TV. So on a Saturday morning, TV and I were best friends, and Alf would come on, and I could sing that theme song for you right now, I'm telling you. I used to love that theme song as well, that show. Punky Brewster had a cartoon as well. Punky Brewster was also a popular show in the 80s that I used to love. And they made her into a cartoon that I also loved. And of course, she had on that cartoon, she had all of her friends, and then she had this alien from outer space. Was he an alien? He was some kind of magical creature, where he was from. How did she find him? He was on the other side of the rainbow. He was left behind. Oh my gosh, I could sing that theme song right now. And Punky took him in, and throughout the whole cartoon series, she and her friends were trying to get him back to his magical home place. And in the meantime, he did all these magical things and helped them do things and got them into trouble, got them out of trouble. And, in the 80s, there was a lot of magical creatures, and I was all for it back then. So it was one of the cartoons I used to watch. Definitely, I could totally sing that theme song. And I think I want to make some blue happen down here on this flower. The Punky Brewster cartoon. I used to come on Saturday mornings. Loved it. Garfield and Friends. Did you watch Garfield and Friends? Oh man, that was one of my favorites. Garfield, the cranky cat. He was hilarious to me. Loved his crankiness. And I was always so fascinated with the fact that he would be speaking and his mouth wouldn't move. I was like, why doesn't his mouth move? So odd and yet so fascinating. And he would communicate with Odie the dog, and oh my gosh, what was his owner's name? Dave? They would all somehow communicate even though he wasn't speaking. Oh, it was just such a fascinating show for me. Wait, I don't want to make this. I'll make the cup top part pink if there's enough ink to sustain this. But Garfield and Friends. So I used to watch that. That was one of my favorites. That would sometime come on during the week too. So either before school or after school, I could catch an episode of Garfield and Friends as well. But it was definitely on my Saturday morning schedule. As a kid, I would get the TV guide. If you're, again, old enough to remember, you would get the TV guide. Pardon me, you'd get the TV guide, and it would have the schedule for every single day of the week. And I would grab that thing every week because TV and I were like best friends. And I would circle all of the shows I want to watch on the Saturday morning, on whatever night of the week. And yeah, I would be all about that TV guide. Let me see, what else did I watch on Saturday mornings? The Chipmunks. Did you watch the Chipmunks? That was one of my favorites. I could sing that theme song right now too. Chipmunks. Chipmunk. That's right. I'd spell it in the theme song, and that's how I learned how to spell chipmunk. Isn't it amazing the fun, wonderful, unusual things you learn as a kid just watching television? Saturday mornings were just my space to kind of relax, and the Chipmunks would come on. I used to love that one. I used to be able to sing all of the songs. I knew all of them. In every episode, they would sing a different song because for some reason in the 80s, every cartoon, not every cartoon, but a lot of the cartoons would incorporate some kind of musical element. So you'd be watching the show, and then in the middle of the show, they would all of a sudden break into a song. And there would be a whole song sequence in the middle. It happens on Muppet Babies. It happens on A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. It happens on Alvin and the Chipmunks. It happens on Gem. And it was just, I don't know what it was, but they were really good at incorporating music to these children. That was one of them. Yeah, that was fun, the Chipmunks. So yeah, I used to watch that. Let me see. I'm trying to remember what other cartoons, because of course it all changed every year. They would always kind of rotate, bring things in. change things up. And I was all about that. Let me see, I think I'll make the center part of this pink. That'll work. I think that'll work. Let me see. Yeah, okay. And this end has much more ink than the other end. When I was trying to use the smaller tip, the fine point, for some reason the ink was kind of running out there, so sad. But at least the wide side still works, so that's good. Let's take a sip of my tea here. This morning I'm drinking, I actually have 2 teas here next to me in my mason jar. I left a link actually in the description. I have my turmeric tea, and I have some dessert by Deb peach oat milk tea. It's pretty yummy. Actually, I left a link so that you can see which teas I'm drinking if you're interested in any tea this morning. These are really good, yummy. The turmeric one is really gives a nice healthy start to your day. It's good for immunity defense and for inflammation. So that's a good one if you are interested in those kinds of things. And then the dessert by Deb one is simply just fun enjoyment. It's a herbal tea though, so there's herbs in it that are really helpful. So I like this paint. I think this is coming out nicely. I think that works. Let me see. Saturday mornings. I also watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did any of you watch that one? That was one of my favorites on the Saturday morning. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Again, I could still sing that theme song. I'm not gonna do it, but I can. It's right there in the tip of my tongue. So funny how all those things stay with you from as a child growing up. Every single theme song is right there because everything that was marketed to the children was so based in music, and they know exactly what they're doing. They put music in it so that it stays with you. You know, those theme songs. Those theme songs stay with you. Here's my chance to test my colorless blender to see if this does anything to get rid of that little. I was just wondering if it would get rid of that. Yeah, it does. Look at that. Look at that. Samples. When you color outside the lines and you use your colorless blender, it kind of erases it. That's pretty cool. I'm going to use, when it dries, I'll use the blue under here. And I think I want to use, what color should I use over here? I was going to use this color down here. And what color should I use over here? Maybe bring this peachy one back for the handle. Let's do that. Let me see. And when they did things in the 80s, whenever there was a popular movie, they would, like I said, they would make a cartoon version of it for kids. Like, do you remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures? They made a cartoon for that movie for kids. You know, they did it with the Ghostbusters movie. They did it with, what other movie did they turn into a cartoon? So interesting. When I remember, I'll let you know. But yeah, Saturday morning. What else did I watch? Sometimes I would watch Bobby's World. You remember that one? That was a cute cartoon. Howie Mandel. He had this cute little Bobby voice, and it's all about the voice, of course, in the 80s. Just filling this in a little bit more. Let me see. What other cartoons did we watch in the 80s? Well, did I watch in the 80s? Let me see. I remember they made a Kid and Play cartoon. So House Party was a big thing. Late 80s, I would say. And they made a Kid and Play cartoon because they were so popular. Maybe the early 90s. It was so popular. So funny. Um, I remember watching it though. And yeah, I watched a lot of things that came on. Um, I remember the New Kids on the Block had a cartoon series because they were so popular. It was just so funny how they would do that. They would just make the popular thing into a cartoon like out of nowhere, and you're just watching them go through all their adventures. Um, Let me think. We watched. They made a cartoon out of Beetlejuice. I remember that was one of those movies. I think I said that already. Um, Thinking. I have to think about that one. But yeah, I used to watch all of it, and of course, I was there for it whenever they changed. And I was always upset whenever they changed the programming. Because you get used to your programming. You're like, I watch this at this time on Saturday mornings, you know, boom. And then when they started to change it, it was like, wait a minute, this is not what I watch. So yeah, gummy bears. The gummy bears, Disney's gummy bears. Gummy bears? Yeah. Gummy bears? Is that what they were called? Yeah. Like, why does it sound so familiar that wrong? There you are. Yeah. Gummy bears, that's what they're called, right? I think so. I can hear the theme song in my mind. Gummy bears, yeah, right? Yeah. And I used to watch that. I remember watching, what was it called? The Snorks. They were like those underwater creatures, and they had adventures under the sea. I used to love that. All those kind of weird creature, you know, cartoons they were right up my alley back then. Um, weren't there other creatures? The Smoggies? They were called the Smoggies, I think. Other creatures that were under the sea. I'm trying to remember. I used to watch that. Do you remember Mr. You don't remember, maybe Mr. T. Mr. T was a big deal in the 80s. There was a show called The A-Team that used to come on, and Mr. T was like this big black man with lots of muscles and a mohawk and all this jewelry. He used to have all these gold chains and rings and stuff. He was like the muscle on the team. I see some smiley faces. He was the muscle on the team, and he used to wear all this jewelry and he used to like take down all the bad guys, you know, along with the team. He was the muscle, and he got to be so popular that he got his own cartoon. It was like the Mr. T show. And he was like the biggest thing. He was so popular back then. I used to love that show. I mean, everyone loved Mr. T. He would show up on classic 80s shows, like special episodes. Usually he would show up when a character was being bullied. All of a sudden, Mr. T would show up on that special episode and help the lead character get out of the bully situation. It was so funny. Or learn how to exercise. And then he got his own cartoon. But I was watching it. I was there for the Mr. T cartoon show. If any of you are there of a certain age and you remember this cartoon, please let me know in the comments. I can't be the only one. The Mr. T show. And I have the theme song right in the tip of my mind. Oh my gosh, so funny. There was this cartoon that used to come on in the 80s called Kid Vid. If you are a person of a certain age and you remember this cartoon, jump in the chat and let me know. Kid Vid was one of my favorite cartoons in the 80s. And it was like a band, a group. I need to go on YouTube and see if it's there. They were a band and they were singing and making songs. And at some point, they crossed paths with someone and they were turned into cartoons and they were like banished to this cartoon lifestyle. And so every cartoon was them trying to get out of this cartoon back to real life. And they would sing songs along the way. And man, I used to love that show. And they had a song every single episode. They would have a new song, and they're like in a sequence where they were trying to, get away from the bad guys. I even have one of those songs still in my head right now. That's crazy that I can remember those songs. Oh my gosh. Saturday morning musings. Good morning and welcome to our calm coloring Saturday morning musings live coloring session where I am fondly remembering all of the cartoons that I would watch on a Saturday morning because I was an indoor kid, very shy, very quiet, and I loved television and I loved books. And so I would watch cartoons every Saturday morning. I would wake up early and watch the cartoons, a whole bunch of cartoons, a whole bunch, because that was just like my joy back then. So I'm just kind of musing over the shows that I used to watch. If you remember any that you used to watch, feel free to jump in the chat and let me know. I think I'll make right here blue. It's dry-ish. Wait a little bit, I'll make it blue. I'm gonna make this right here, this color. I used to watch a show called The Littles. Do you remember that? They were little people. Or were they elves or something? I'm trying to remember. I used to watch it. I used to watch that one. I used to watch the Berenstein Bears. Man, tell me you remember the Berenstein Bears. That was one of my favorite book series when I was a kid. The family of bears who lived in the treehouse. Come on. Oh, I forgot about this lack of ink. The mama bear, papa bear, brother bear, and sister bear. Oh my gosh, those were the best books. I was always in the library as a kid, so I was all about reading all of the books. And Berenstein Bears was a series that I picked up all the time. Loved reading about their adventures. You know, they were just so great, and they got their own cartoon. They had their own cartoon at some point on Saturday mornings, so I used to watch them. I used to watch them a lot. Let me see, what else did I watch? I watched. Let me think. Definitely The Amazing Spider-Man and Friends. I always think fondly of that. That was like my Saturday morning go-to. It used to come on, I want to say, after the show called A Likely Story. I've talked about this before. A Likely Story, which was not a cartoon, but was like a live action adventure. She'd read a story, tell a story, and it would turn into an adventure. And then at the end, they would all go, "That's a likely story." I would love to know if anyone remembers that show. I think I want to let me try to make this thing blue now and see if it works. Who else had a cartoon on Saturday mornings that I would watch? There were, let me think. I said the Smurfs. I said Alvin and the Chipmunks. The Smurfs was definitely a big show for me back then. I used to love that show, Gargamel and all of his craziness. He was like the wizard. He was all mean. He was always trying to catch the Smurfs and I think he wanted to eat them, or he wanted to harness their Smurf power or something. He was always trying to catch them, and they always outsmarted him. The Care Bears, come on. Did any of you watch the Care Bears? Again, another show with magical elements. I was really into that when I was a kid. I'm so glad that I'm not anymore. But I was really into them, the Care Bears. And they used to have magical powers on their bellies, through their bellies. Like each bear had a different thing. And so you get the bear that you needed with whatever power you needed to solve whatever the problem was that day. And then all together, if they came together and they combined their powers, they would have the Care Bear stare, and they would just like aim their bellies at whatever was going on, whatever the issue was, and they would defeat whatever kind of bad guy situation was happening that week, that episode. And I used to love that show so much. I think I'm going to do this. Let's see. Care Bear Stare, man. I used to have these Care Bear books. Oh, I loved that Care Bear book. It was just such a vibrant, colored book. I remember having it. It was like I had a big purple cover, and it was just the colors were just so. I think that was part of the thing. Part of my love for that show was the colors and the books and stuff like that. They were just so vibrant. It makes sense. I mean, I like colors. And let me see. Oh my goodness, the Flintstone Kids. Did anybody watch the Flintstone Kids? Again, you have to be someone of a certain age to remember these shows. But the Bedrock Flintstone Kids, because that was, like I said, the time period where they would take all of the grown adult, characters and make them into children. So you had the Flintstone Kids, you had a pup named Scooby-Doo. I could still sing the Flintstones Kids theme song. Oh wow, it's right there in my mind. I remember it so fondly. And the Archies were, again, they were like, well, actually the Archies cartoon, the comic books, which I also loved back then, they were teenagers. Yeah, they were teenagers. They were in high school. And they made the Archies like little kids, and they put that as a cartoon on Saturday mornings. Tell me you remember that. And I see some hearts. Yeah, so they were little kids, and I could sing that theme song for you again right now. It's crazy how much I remember these theme songs. That was one of my favorites. And they would have adventures, solve mysteries, and they were just kids and running around Riverdale. And yeah, that was one of my favorites, the Archies. That was a fun cartoon I used to watch on Saturday mornings. One of my favorites. Pound Puppies. I used to watch Pound Puppies. I think that they have since maybe taken some of these shows and redid some of them, maybe remade some of them. I don't know. I don't watch like the cartoons that are out now, so I don't know what's available. But I think they've probably redone some of these for the younger kids now. But I don't know if they would appreciate the beauty that was the original. Let me see. Let's see what else I watched. Yep, I know I watched Bugs Bunny and Tweety. Come on, Bugs Bunny and Tweety. Those were the classic cartoons. I could still watch those today. Let me think. Saturday mornings. Well, you let me know if there was a Saturday morning cartoon that you fondly remember. And as I remember them, I'll keep calling them out. But let me know if there was one that you remember. I think I'm going to, let's see which color we want to make that. I did this. I guess I can add some more, maybe yellow around here. But what about here? What color should we make this? We used our blue, our yellow, and our pink. Oh, I can put this color right here. Oh, you know what I used to watch too? Back in the 80s, again, a certain age, Teen Wolf was a popular movie. Michael J. Fox. Listen, Michael J. Fox was the man in the 80s. He made this movie called Teen Wolf. He made the first one, and I loved that movie. And then they turned it into a cartoon, which I also used to love to watch. I could sing that theme song for you too. Teen Wolf. So funny, these cartoons that they made from movies. It's like, it was just so interesting. Do I want to make this heart this color? Or do we want to make it a different color? Like it would be this color right there. Or do we want to make it yellow and keep this yellow kind of heart thing going? I'll make it this color. That's cute. Yeah, well, I'll just keep going. Actually, I can split it down the middle, half this color, half yellow, if we think that'll be interesting. Thinking about it. And make this part yellow. Why not? Why not? We're creative around here, you know? This is what we do. But yeah, Teen Wolf was another one that I watched. They marketed cartoons right to me, I'm telling you. It's like they knew exactly what I wanted to watch, and they were just pumping them out. I think they were like, we know that this kid is gonna be watching it. We'll have ratings. We'll have the ratings we need. I was right in front of that TV every Saturday morning, without fail. So funny. And then there was something that shifted in the 90s. Like, I remember there were still cartoons, but then there would be, let me see. So like there were even, I mean, the cartoons started to shift a little bit. So you started seeing like DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, those kind of cool cartoons started coming into play. And even there's a show called Where's Waldo that I remember. And if you are, do I want to make this yellow? Yeah, I will. If you are of a certain age, you remember the Where's Waldo books, which were always fun. Like there was this little guy named Waldo with his glasses and his hat, and it would be a big picture, and there would be all these things in the picture that looked just like him with the stripes and the red, and I think it was a red hat, and like he had a striped shirt, and he would be hidden somewhere in the picture, and the fun of the book was you stared at that picture for however long it took until you discovered where Waldo was in the picture. Now, I dare you to try to give a book like that to any child these days. First of all, I don't know if they would stare at a book. Second of all, I don't know if they would have the patience to stare at that page for more than 30 seconds to try to find Waldo. But back in the day, those were such fun books, like to stare at that page. You know, your parent could give you that book and you would be occupied for hours because the book would have tons of pages in it filled with pictures, and Waldo would be on every single picture, but he would be hidden amongst all of the stuff, and you could stare at that book for hours to try to be like, wait, where is Waldo? And it was it was just great for attention, just paying attention to things. It just taught you to kind of really pay attention and hone in on what was going on so that you could find him. Hey, Linda B, good morning. I'm having some Saturday morning musings where I'm thinking about like old Saturday morning cartoons I used to watch when I was a kid. And I'm quick to say that it's really like if you were of a certain age, you remember these cartoons. If you are of a certain age. And I was just talking about the Where's Waldo books. There used to be these books that I loved, and they turned it into a cartoon that was on Saturday mornings. But you'd have to find Waldo in the books. And I was just saying how, like, I doubt any child these days could even sit and look at a book for 30 seconds, let alone stare at it for hours to try to find Waldo in these pictures. But I used to love them back then. Because I was a kid. I was a quiet kid, and I was really into books and cartoons, television in general. So I would watch all the cartoons I could on a Saturday morning. Yes, Exactly. That's what I would do too. Get up early before anyone was awake, and just turn on that TV, sit in front of it, and just watch all of the cartoons I could possibly watch. So yeah, I was just going over all. Do you remember any of the cartoons you would watch? I made like this long rambling list of cartoons I would watch, like everything from Garfield and Friends to even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Bugs Bunny. I loved those cartoons. And I was talking about how there was a time period where they would make all of the like grown up shows or cartoons into kids. So there was Scooby Doo, but then they made like a pup named Scooby Doo. The Little Rascals. Yes, actually, yes. If you woke up early enough, you could see the Little Rascals before the cartoons. And actually, sometimes there was a period of time where you could watch the Three Stooges too. It would either be really, really, really early or like really, really it would be like midday, something like that, depending on the station you turn to. You could watch all of those. Yes. Tell me, do you remember a show called A Likely Story? It wasn't a cartoon, but they would read stories and they would kind of go on adventures. They would have some cartoon elements in there. And at the end of the show, like they would, the kids would say, "That's a likely story." Oh, I was so into all these shows. Um, but yes, me and Saturday mornings. Saturdays were my favorite day of the week. I loved that. I loved just getting up. And even though during the week I'd be so tired, I wouldn't want to get up to go to school. But on a Saturday morning, for some reason, I had all the energy in the world. And I was ready for every early morning cartoon session. I was all about that. I could wake up early. I could wake up at 5 on a Saturday morning or 6, and it was like nothing. I was just so excited to get up and watch cartoons. I don't really know what I'm doing here with this color here, but just figured I would kind of play around a little bit with that. Yep, yeah. So I think it's just it's their motivation as a kid. You're like, I don't want to go to school, but I'll watch cartoons. I can wake up for that. I kind of messed up what I was doing here, but that's okay. Right, exactly. A bowl of cereal, yes, in front of the TV, exactly. Yes, when the parents are awake, then it's time to do all of the chores. But until then, it's like you had the whole time, the whole space to yourself to kind of do whatever you wanted to do. And yes, all of the cereals. I loved that. I would I would eat the cereal without milk. I would just grab the cereal and, put it in my container, and then I would just sit and eat it, just crunch on it the whole time. No milk needed. Just pour it out of the box. Yes, yes. Have you ever had honeycomb cereal? If you are of a certain age, you remember honeycomb cereal. We used to have honeycomb, and you could eat it without milk. Yes, and corn pops. Corn pops were also good without milk. I could have some corn pops without milk. That was always so yummy, and I loved just like popping it in my mouth, and then just like sucking on it, like sucking all the sugar, deflating the pops. They still make honeycomb cereal? I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yes, honeycomb was perfect without milk. So was corn pops. Um, I wasn't like a. I went through this phase. I wasn't a big milk drinker. Um, there were times when I could drink milk, but I would have to drink it with like adding Nestle Quick or something. But when it came to cereal, I always liked the cereal without milk. Yeah, I like just crunching on the cereal and then like just just sucking on it, just sucking all the sugar. and then just eating it that way. It was always fun. So I can get a big old bowl of the corn pops or the honeycomb and eat it while I was watching the cartoons. Yes. Yes. So yeah, I was all about that. And it was fun because if I was up before my siblings, I didn't have to share the cereal, you know? It was all for me. Let me see. What other colors did I? Not other cartoons. We watched. There was. Oh yeah, like so. Let me think. There was. I think I might have said all of them. I'm thinking about that. Tom and Jerry. Oh, there was a period of time where it started to shift. Let me know if you remember when the shift happened, where it went from cartoons, just all cartoons, to a certain time. Like it would be like it would usually be like maybe like 11 o'clock when the cartoons would end, and Candlepin Bowling would come on my television, and I was like, okay, this is when I know it's the end of cartoon time. But then there was a period in time when all of a sudden it wouldn't be Candlepin Bowling, it would be live, not live, but the it would be shows like Saved by the Bell. It was like a shift where they kind of like shifted from the cartoons to these like teenage programmings. And I would be like, oh man, what happened to my cartoons? Can I get some more time with Bugs Bunny? Like, but of course, you started getting used to the Saved by the Bells, and Saved by the Bell became a big, very big popular show. I was such a childlike kid, childlike teenager too, so I was still about the cartoons. The monkeys, oh my goodness. For me, the monkeys were like the signature start of summer vacation, because it would be in the summertime when they would switch regularly scheduled programming to like those old shows, and the monkeys was one of those shows, and I loved that show. That would be the start of the summer for me, is when the monkeys was coming on television. I would be like, summer has begun. That's when the monkeys started coming on. Oh man, that was part of my summer fun time. Like that would mark my day schedule by watching the monkeys. It would be, it was like, I'm trying to think of how it went through the day, but it would be it would be Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, the monkeys, and what was the other one? In the summer, and the Brady Bunch, and those old shows, like they would show those ones in the summer, and those were like the mark of my summer. Like I knew summer vacation was starting. Summer was starting when those shows were on television. I used to love the monkeys. I could sing every single one of those songs that they had, because every episode they would have a sequence where they were, either running away from a bad guy or doing something, and they would just break into song. Loved them. Who was your favorite monkey? Did you have a favorite? Or did you not like that show at all? I was all about the monkeys. This is coming out a little different than I intended, but let me see. Let me add some more yellow. See what we can do here. You liked Mike. Oh my goodness. I liked, okay. It was sort of a tie, but no, it was more so Mickey. Like I liked Mickey, and then I liked Davy a little bit. Yeah, but I think it was more so about Mickey. Yeah, like he had something about his hair and the way he smiled. I loved that, and I loved Davy just because I thought he was like younger a little bit. Just he had some younger things that, uh, like he just seems a little bit more kid-like, and I think that just connected a little bit more with me. But Mickey Dolenz, He was the man. He was the man. And he always sang lead on all the songs too. Yeah, yeah. Mickey Dolenz for me was number one, and then Davy was like, Davy Jones. He was a close second. He was a close second. Yeah, but Mickey definitely was my favorite. He was my favorite. I think that Davy probably because he was like probably his. He was just kind of like this like smaller guy. I don't know. Maybe that was like more endearing for people, but he was fun. I was thinking about the other day how Davy used to dance because Davy used to know like whatever those hip dances were at that time period. He was the only one who did them. He would do this dance. I was just thinking about it. I'm telling you, just like 2 days ago, this dance that he would do. And I know it was like one of those like hipster dances back in the day that were just that if there was a dance of like the cool dance back then, that was the dance. And he would always do it. And when he did it, it was so like there was this effortlessness to the way he did it that I could tell that that was like the dance, the move of the time period. I remember it, and I was like, I was trying to do it because I was trying to remember what that dance was. Oh man, but yeah, he was fun. Did you have a favorite monkey song? He just yeah, I didn't think that like I wasn't a fan of the dance, but I could tell by the way he did it that that was like the cool dance of the day, and he thought he was like the dopest. Like he thought he was the man the way he did that dance. I could tell by the way he did it. He just by the way that he kind of moved and the way his face looked and everything like that. It was like that was the jam. Like if he could do that dance, that was the thing. Hmm. Yes, it was. It was. Yeah, and I don't know the name of the dance either. All of the songs. Oh yeah. Yes. Listen, I remember buying the Greatest Hits Monkeys CD back in the day. Just so I could jam on those songs like anytime I wanted. So yeah, they were great. I don't know why, but Auntie Griselda is the song that's in my head right now. Auntie Griselda. Do you remember that song? So funny. Jingle Pop, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Listen, that was the start of the summer for me. Whenever the monkeys came on, you knew summer was on. I was like, yes, Saturdays. Something about that. When they show those old shows. I loved watching those old shows. They were just so much fun to watch. And it kind of like immortalizes those people in time, you know what I mean? Like I remember thinking that that was how old they were when I was a kid. That was how old the monkeys were. Like that's what they looked like at that moment in time. When by the time that show came on, we were what 20 years. It was like 20 years past 20, maybe 30 years past whenever that show came on. But I remember thinking that that's what they still look like. They were like immortally that age. Sorry, I'm taking a sip of my tea. I'm gonna do some. I'm trying to still make this happen. Maybe it's the blue I need in there. But yeah, once they started changing Saturday mornings, once they started changing over to these more teenage shows, it was like, it was sad to me. I was so sad. Like, I know that I was, I know I was getting older, fine. I probably shouldn't have been watching cartoons, but, but I was still kind of like, I still wanted my cartoons, you know? But I still watched all the teenage shows. So they started pulling in that Saved by the Bell. There was a show called City Kids, um, City High. There was City High. There was City Kids. It was like all these teenager shows with people who were like who went on to become like big famous people. They were all teenagers and they were in these shows. first. Like Anthony Anderson was in Hang Time. There was a show called Hang Time that came on. I used to watch that one. He was like this little teenager playing basketball. I remember him so clearly because I used to watch that show. And yeah, they were all, that's kind of like where they all got their start. And of course, Saved by the Bell, you know, all those stars that jumped out of there. Side note, Mark Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell is on this show called Found right now. His acting is incredible. That's one of the shows that I watch now. And his acting is so, if you are, you know, if you're someone who likes shows like that, you know, feel free to give that a look. Give it a try. His acting is incredible. It's so interesting to watch him on that show. But yeah, but Saved by the Bell back in the day, I was like, I was kind of watching it, kind of wasn't. But of course I watched it, but I wasn't like super into it like all the other kids. I could take it or leave it. But yeah, there was that. It was all these teenage shows, City Kids, City Highs, all of them, and then I was kind of sad, like, where's my cartoons, man? But I understand it took off and it became really popular. And I remember when they sent the Saved by the Bell kids to college, and it was Saved by the Bell, the college years. And we followed them in college for a minute. Sorry, I'm shaking my tripod. But yeah, I watched a lot. I watched a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. Try maybe add some pink here, or more yellow. I think I'm gonna add maybe this one actually instead. That'll work. That'll work. Maybe one of these Saturdays, maybe we'll talk about commercials. Because the commercials as well. Saturday morning commercials. Come on. Hey, Coloring with Taylor Made. Good morning. I know. I don't know. I mean, it was such a great idea, well, to me when I was a kid. It's like it was perfect. I think that Saturday mornings, there's just something so special about them that even when you're an adult, you can feel that there's something special about a Saturday. So they kind of, you know, try to make it special for kids too. But yeah, I used to love that. I wish I could just take a Saturday morning to just sit and watch cartoons these days. It's like all of a sudden when you're an adult, you have no time to just have fun sometimes, it seems. It's not true, but it just seems that way sometimes. So I guess it's just up to us to make that time and be like, I'm gonna put on an old episode of Bugs Bunny right now, you know? I think I'm gonna make this pink. I'm gonna put some pink right here. Ooh, I keep forgetting that this is the one that's running out of ink. Oh, wait, let me try the tip. I'm trying to see if I can get that pink in there. There we go. There we go. And then, of course, when I was a kid, I didn't have cable. We had cable for like 2 seconds, and then it went away because it was just expensive, I guess. So the majority, I did not have cable. So when I was watching cartoons on Saturday, I was watching just the regular network programming. ABC, CBS, NBC. It's not quite coming out the way I want, but that's okay. It's because I made some wonky shape. Why did I do that? Okay, I'm making it worse. I was making it worse. Uh, I was trying to do something up there. I messed it up a little bit there. I'm gonna put this blue over here. Let me see. IKR. Actually, I don't know what IKR means. I'm sorry. Please elaborate. Your picture is so cute. Oh, I'm so glad you like it. The three networks. Yes, public television. Yes, we had PBS. Although it was called something else. It was PBS, but it was like whatever yeah. It didn't have that cute, catchy. Oh, I know, right, girl? Oh man. Oh my gosh, so funny. I Let me see. Yes, we had the public broadcasting station. I know it's times like that when I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so much older than I think I am. It's just I try to keep up, but I'm like, I don't know. Remember when the TV station would go off at night and start back up in the mornings? Yes, yes. It would end with the what was it that they would play? The national anthem. They would play the national anthem, and then it would go off. I thought it was scary too, cause they would make that sound, that buzzing sound, and or sometimes you'd see the color bars, and it was scary to me too. As soon as it started playing, I was like, oh, turn it off. It was just it was too much. It was too much. I agreed. But, oh gosh, I'm dropping my markers. I felt that way too. I was like, this is too scary. Yes, but it was a lot scarier back then. They've made things a lot more, well, they don't turn off at all now, but they've made things a lot more like calm now. Like, remember the tests of the emergency broadcast system? Those things used to be so frightening. That high, loud pitched beep, even the voice that would come on to warn you that it was going to happen was scary. It was really scary. So they've just made everything less scary now. But yeah, this is only a test. I was like, as soon as I heard the voice, this is a test, I would just like run. If I didn't have enough time to turn down the volume, I would just run. I would run into the next room. It was too much. It was too much. They'd still do the emergency broadcast system now. They do these. They still do the voice, but it's less scary sounding, and it's like these short kind of zap sounds, like these eh, and then that's it. So they've kind of found a way to make it easy, but then again, not a lot of people have broadcast television, so I'm sure that not a lot of people even experience that. I'm probably one of the last people in the world with broadcast television, meaning cable. I didn't switch over to all the streaming services. I did not. I kept the cable. Now, of course, I do have a couple of streaming services because, when you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you have Prime Video. But yeah, I still have broadcast TV, which means I still watch live television. Which I know you can see on some of the streaming things, but it doesn't seem the same to me. So I still have it. I can watch, sports and things like that, sports games. I do like baseball, so this is my season right now, baseball season. But yeah. Do you guys ever have squeakiness with your markers? Like, if you use markers, how squeaky that was? Oh, great. Things are changing so fast that who knows how local stations. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, they're always changing things up. But I think that because they know that there's still people who watch the local stations, They're trying to keep them going, but they try to, what I do notice is they try to bring some of the things that are on the streaming services to the local station. So if you have, of course, ABC is a station, you have your local station. So the things that they're putting on Hulu, they eventually bring it to ABC so you can still see it there. So you don't have to necessarily have a Hulu subscription unless you want to watch it right away. You try not to have squeaky. I don't even. I'm trying to figure out what I do that makes it squeak. I'm like, is it something I'm doing wrong that makes the squeak happen? Because there are times when I'm coloring it and there's no squeakiness, and then there's times when, like, let's see right now, hold on, like right there, no squeaks, no squeaks. But then there's other times when I'm getting it in, it's like, and I'm like, what happened? Yeah, I'm not trying to squeak. I'm definitely not trying to squeak. I just don't know why it happens. I'm trying to figure out how I can stop it from happening. Like, what makes it squeak? See right there, look, it's so silent. Silent. That's part of the ASMR coloring. All the squeakiness. Oh, good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. All right, I'm just finishing some outlining here. I think I got everything colored on this lovely Saturday morning. I do enjoy some fun Saturday morning coloring. It does remind me of those happy, Saturday mornings of, cartoons. Maybe I'll make this, outline this in yellow. Let me try that. See what that looks like. Maybe we'll make the Saturday mornings the thing that I do more regularly. Or like set it up. So I can maybe have that as a confirmed schedule. The only thing that is the challenge is sometimes my work schedule. I mean, that's why I don't have a set time now. I kind of go live as I can, based on other schedules and meetings that I have to run to. So that's the only reason why I don't have a set time. Like, I can't say Saturday mornings at 9 because there might be a Saturday morning where I have to do it at like 7 or, or at 10. What time did we start today? We started at 10. So it varies, but as long as you guys don't mind jumping on, if your notifications pop up and let you know, then that's cool. Oh, I do like how that came out. Really yellow outline. And I think I will go look on YouTube after I finish this to try to find like an old episode of a pup named Scooby-Doo or something. I wonder if it's on Peacock. Oh, I can check that out and see. That was my show right there. I'm telling you, the theme song, I could sing it right now. I can sing almost every single one of these theme songs because I was watching them so much. But a pup named Scooby-Doo is just like right in my heart right now. I'm gonna have to go find it. Maybe I'll do outline a yellow on all of them. Let me see. It's this golden yellow outline. I did. Oh my gosh. I got home late from work, that's why. And I had to finish some things first. So yeah, I came on. It was like 11:50 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. So I was determined because I had committed to go live every day in April. And so I didn't want to just kind of skip it, and even though it was late. So I did it 10 minutes before midnight. I came on live and I colored for like an hour. I was tired. I think towards the end, I was like definitely starting to nod off. I had to kind of keep waking myself up. The Jetsons and the Flintstones, yes! Oh man, I loved those shows. Oh, okay. So yes, after this, Jetsons, Flintstones. Oh man, I love the Jetsons. Oh man, Mr. Spacely, even with his cranky self, so much fun. You know what's funny? I have, if you remember their robot, Rosie the robot, I was able to grab like a little sound bite, and I use that sound bite on my phone for a text message sound for a particular person, and it amuses me so much whenever I hear it go off. Pebbles, oh man, yeah, Pebbles. She was so cool with her little ponytail. She was so cool. I was not really a fan of Bam Bam, not really. And the Smurfs, yes, I loved the Smurfs. Yes, every single episode, always so close to getting caught, snatched up by Gargamel, but they always managed to make it out. And Smurfette was the only girl in the village. The only girl in the village. Come on, there was no other female Smurfs. She was still so cool with her long hair. She was like the coolest. I was such a fan of that show. I was such a fan of that show. Bam Bam, yeah. Oh, I like how Bam Bam protected Pebbles, though. He was really good at protecting her. I I guess I've always been one who for a good protection. Like I love a good protector, and he was always like looking out for her. So he was really making sure she was cool. Yes, yes, all of the colors. I was talking about earlier how I watched the Care Bears and how all the colors that they had there. Loved those colors. Um, and I can remember I had a Care Bear book when I was a child. It was a hardcover book, and it was this vibrant purple color. Oh man! And when you looked inside, all of the colors on the pages were so vibrant and beautiful. I loved those books, the Care Bears books, the Care Bears cartoons. It was always so colorful. All of those cartoons in the 80s were so colorful. Definitely, I was a big fan. Okay, what was your favorite cartoon coloring with Taylor Made? And what was the one, what was your Saturday morning go-to cartoon? Or were you someone who didn't get up and watch cartoons on Saturday mornings? I had a whole bunch of them. And I ran down the whole list earlier. If you want to, feel free to go back and listen, or I can say them again right now. But I had a whole bunch of cartoons, from the Smurfs to Winnie the Pooh. I always started with the Amazing Spider-Man and Friends. Um, and I'm of a certain age, so I watched cartoons in the 80s. I watched cartoons in the early 90s. Oh, getting some yellow over here. Let me know in the chat what your favorite Saturday morning cartoon was. We walked through all of our Saturday morning childhood just now, all of the cartoons. And I was talking about how they used to, you watched wrestling. Me too. How could I forget wrestling? At a certain time, wrestling would come on. And I was watching wrestling during the Hulk Hogan era. That's when I was watching wrestling. I'm trying to remember all those characters. I used to let me and my siblings, we used to watch that Hulk Hogan. How could I forget? There was even the Glow. Do you remember Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling? That used to come on at night, I think. I think we used to watch it at night. Hulk Hogan. Oh. Andre the Giant. Yes, yes, that was during my time period too. Yes. We were watching wrestling during like the playful, like the lighter wrestling times. I think over time they became more darker. They became a little bit more, I mean, they still kind of like, doing their thing, but it became darker. But we were watching during those playful times when it was like light and fun. Andre the Giant scared you. He was a big man. He was a big man. He was amazing to watch. It was just like, wow, this guy is so big. I think I'm gonna go yellow around here. I'm trying to remember any of the other names. Why are they all escaping me right now? Okay, but I have to, maybe we'll do another live. Maybe our next Saturday can be about, well, one of these. I'm gonna make a list of things we can talk about on the Saturday mornings if we keep doing Saturday morning coloring. And one of them will definitely be wrestling. This morning we were talking about the cartoons. Sure. Oh, that was probably not a good choice because I have that blue right there. That blue green. Yes, yes. Yeah, I thought it was real too. Yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts. Yes. I know I was disappointed when I realized it was fake too. I thought it was so real. That's so funny. Yeah, and the drama of it all. They were so good at the drama. Oh man, I used to love that. I remember when it was called WWF instead of WWE, World Wrestling Federation. I don't remember. I remember it was WWF. I'm gonna go with, let's see what else I can add in here. That might be it. Actually, I'm gonna add just a couple more yellows. So actually, I have a lot of yellows. Let me add some pink. And there's some like pink dots or something in the background. Who else do you remember? Yeah, yeah. I remember those kind of weird things like that. Like they're so unimportant. That's the kind of memory I have, I think, is things that are like, who remembers that? Who remembers that? Like even when I was just talking about the cartoons I watched, I'm like, who remembers? Who remembers a cartoon called Kid Vid? That was one of my favorites. But I never hear anyone talk about it. Where it was like a group, a band that were turned into cartoons by some evil guy. And they were like trapped in a cartoon universe singing songs. Who remembers that? I think I'm the only one who does. But yeah, I was all about that cartoon life. And you remember in the 80s, like every cartoon almost, they would have a musical element in there. There was always a song they would break out into, or all of a sudden, everyone was a band, everyone playing an instrument, everyone could sing and dance. Um, and that was fun, like how they always had a musical element to it. Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings, didn't Transformers and G.I. Joe also come on Saturday mornings? I definitely used to watch those too. I used to watch that. I used to watch, there was a show called Bionic 6, which was just a fun show, again, with people um, with bionic powers. Yeah, Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. Did you watch Muppet Babies back then? That was one of my favorites. I loved Miss Piggy and Kermit. I never, you know, grown up Miss Piggy, regular Miss Piggy, she was like so, she had so much attitude and I never understood why. But baby Miss Piggy was a lot nicer on Muppet Babies. I loved Muppet Babies. That was my show right there. And yes, Miss Piggy was so cute. She had that beautiful flowing blonde hair. And Kermit the Frog. I'm trying to remember all the Muppet Babies. Yeah, Gonzo, Foz, Fozzie, Fozzie the bear. He was my favorite. Loved his sweetness. He had jokes. It was so great. And the nanny whose face you never saw. She was glamorous. Miss Piggy was so glamorous. She lived the glamorous life back then. Do you remember when they would have Muppet specials? Like the live action Muppet specials, the Muppet Show, basically, I think is what it was called. Yeah, the Muppet Show. She would always have these different outfits. She would have like the fur, Like it would look like a fur coat or something, or and she just was like, she knew who she was. She was confident. She was so confident, yes. And she was after Kermit. Like, when I think back, I think maybe I need to go back and watch one of those episodes. Think back to how she was, like the kind of person that she was. I'm like, she was like, she was like going after her man. Like she was going after that man hardcore. And Kermit was kind of like, back off. Give me some space, Miss Piggy. Give me some. She was that girl. Oh my gosh. All right. I think we're finished with this picture. I think that we've got a lot going on here. Let me get my scripture reference. I just saw a work call coming in. Just fun and exciting. Oh, there's a squeak. But yes, feel free anytime you can remember any fun Saturday morning cartoons when we're on a Saturday morning. Feel free to jump in the chat and let me know. I have fun reminiscing about Saturday morning cartoons. That was my joy on Saturday mornings. And even cereal. We had a stream a couple of weeks back where we talked about cereal, but we can totally do that again. Because cereal on Saturday mornings, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And this color, do you see how this marker, do you see how that was happening? Like this marker was like out of ink on this tip. These are my Ohuhu markers. I do like these markers. They are pretty nice. But for some reason, this one's already running out of ink. Not cool. I'm using this side. This side seems to be doing better. It did make sense. Yes. So yeah, well definitely we can do that again. We'll talk about Saturday morning cereal next time. We'll refresh our memory about the cereals and the cartoons. Yes, anytime we can talk about that. Every time. I think, should I use yellow? Yeah, let's use yellow. And today's scripture was found in Galatians chapter 2, verse 16, knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Jesus Christ. Even we have believed in Jesus Christ, that we might be justified by the faith of Christ, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified. And I'm just grateful that we have Jesus. He's the one who makes us righteous, because we can't do it out of our own works. It's only by the blood of Jesus, by the grace of God. And you hear these squeakiness, the squeaky markers? I guess it's when I color in a certain direction, maybe? I don't know. Or is that just a sign that this marker is out of ink? Maybe that's what makes it squeaky. Dun, dun, dun. Another marker losing its ink. Am I just coloring too much? Is that what the problem is? Am I coloring too much? Well, I like these markers though. There's a Ohuhus. I left the link in the description if you want to see exactly which ones. I'm using 2 sets of 48. Well, let's recap, shall we? Check out this cute picture. We have our teapot with all of the lovely, rich aromas of delicious tea that are escaping the teapot. The steam is rising up, forming this beautiful colored glow. We have some teacups right here. We pretty much used, I want to say, 4 colors. We used 6 colors. Actually, no, we used 5. I didn't use that last orange. And we made this beautiful picture. We have our flowers here with our yellow, our pink, and our blue. And we use that same yellow, pink, and blue all throughout for the cups, for the vase, for the teapot, and for this lovely, I was trying to do something interesting up here with this. Didn't quite work out the way I was thinking, but it kind of did. It was okay. And we did it for this flower here, and I used this bluish green color here for these leaves and for this tabletop area down here. And I only made one set of dots, some pink dots in the background. We kept it light with the dots today, and I just kind of, shaped, shape. I just kind of highlighted the shapes on the picture with different colors and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought it came out pretty nice. I like the pop of the yellow. I outlined the things in yellow just to kind of make it pop a little bit more. And I think that was fun. I'm actually going to do this one too, because why not? And I thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you had fun listening to my Saturday morning musings, listening to me talk about Saturday morning cartoons and shows. If you are just joining us, just popping in, hello, good morning. Thank you for stopping by to see my fun coloring page, and feel free to stop back again anytime because we love to sit and calmly color. And Saturday morning, I thought it was a great day to start calmly. And I'm so delighted that you took some time, peaceful time for yourself, and that you chose to spend some time with me. Thank you. We usually color at night to kind of calm our minds and decompress at the end of the night. And this morning, I just decided to pop up and do some light Saturday morning coloring. Feel free to subscribe, and you'll be ready to jump in the chat for our next coloring session. And if you like this video, please feel free to hit that like button and come on back and join us sometime. We're a nice calm coloring group, calm coloring community. There's some wonderful artists with some wonderful pages, YouTube channels in this chat, so feel free to check them out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to just go on with our day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. That is calm and wonderful. I thank you so much for watching. There's our masterpiece. It's lovely. Voila. Thank you for watching. I pray that the rest of your day is peaceful and lovely. And maybe we'll do this again tomorrow. We definitely will. Not at this time, but we're going to color again tomorrow, probably tomorrow afternoon, so we can have a relaxing Sunday calm coloring session. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks. Until next time, Jolly Tea Drinkers. There's our picture. Bye.